Simon Davis with It's a Fencer's Life, Lessons from the Trenches.
So hard work pays off. Hard work in the right areas, I would say, pays off even better. Anybody can work hard and wear that badge that they're going to work really hard, but when push comes to shove, if you're not prepared to make some sacrifices, you will struggle to get that foothold into that next step in your business. I had a coach who used to say to me that if you're not growing your business, you're going backwards. G'day guys, Simon here, Profitable Fencer, and lost my headphone already, so that's a good start. But I'm pumped, I'm excited. I've got a few things that I want to talk to you today, and I've lost an earpiece, so that's a really great start for me. Anyway, we'll carry on. So much without it. I'll just keep falling out all day. So, thinking outside the box. There's a lot of things that we do day to day, digging, setting posts, thumping posts, installing fence that is run-of-the-mill, generic sort of procedures that we do day in, day out. And for the newbies, once you get a swing of things, it will become like second nature, I can guarantee. And then as you get going at that, things will sort of take off and it becomes a lot easier. The thing that happens then is you start to get caught up in the moment of doing the actual job and not pre-planning, not thinking about the next job, not thinking about conversions or marketing or anything else like that, and not necessarily thinking outside the box. So I want to challenge you today to think outside the box and see how one little change in my business saved me a substantial amount of money. And I'll explain that in a minute, what happened. But I was listening to my buddy Dan Wheeler's podcast this morning, the fence industry, and he mentioned and touched on complacency. And I've talked about it a little bit before, and I've seen a lot of what can happen when people do get complacent, and people can get injured. People can lose sight of the big goal. To cut things short, I suppose, in my last company, I become a little bit complacent at the end. I had other people running things, and I was concentrating on something else, and I got a little bit sort of complacent in the way I was managing, and I paid the ultimate price. That's okay. I've learned from that. That won't happen again. But I just want to let you know, complacency can cost you massive amounts of money and time lost, injury, time lost, poor quality, could lead to court cases, lots of things. And it doesn't have to be your complacency either that can happen. So just wanted to touch on that, guys. If you're out in the field, please be safe, be aware of your surroundings, what's going on, and go from there. But what I wanted to talk to you about, Dan Wheeler says that complacency leads to decay. And I have to agree with him on that side of things, because you do become complacent and everything sort of drops. And you've seen it before where, one of the big things when I had all my crew running, we all had nice trucks, nice utes, we all in uniform all the time. One of the big comments I got continuously was that people saw us everywhere. I would get phone calls from everywhere that, we've seen your truck, we've seen your blokes on site, we've seen this, we've seen that, and people would flock to the brand and to the name, which was absolutely awesome. Fast forward 10 years, now there's only 4 of us. I don't get that side of things. The truck's falling apart, it's getting old, I very rarely wash it, That's a poor me effort. I'm hopeless. I can't stand washing trucks. Just bores me to tears. I'd rather be out doing something else and earning money somewhere else or whatever, and pay the labourers to wash the truck or clean it out. When things are nice and bright and shiny and new, and people take notice, as the honeymoon period sort of wears off and you become a little bit complacent, you'll lose that sort of traction. So if you can keep things looking bright, shiny, new, and keep the honeymoon period going for a long time, you'll get a lot more work out of that just per se. So back to the thinking outside the box scenario. Years ago, as I said, we get caught up in building our fence and doing what we have to do. And that's what we're good at. So that's what we sort of hammer in and work really hard on. Thinking outside the box, I had a bit of an issue with a post cap driver that was, we were thumping concrete posts in all the time, and I kept smashing the tops of the posts. And I didn't like the driver that was supplied to me, the cap that was supplied to me, and I had trouble with it big time. So, and this is for Australia. I don't know the American rules around this, but in Australia, I decided to talk to my accountant and we come up with a plan to do some research and development. Now, in saying that, the research and development is a pretty strict rules that you have to follow, and you have to document everything, take pictures, take videos, do all of this stuff, and be seen to creating something that is beneficial for your industry or your particular need. My go-to was to try and make a cap that wouldn't break the concrete post, but also made it safer for us to use. So I made this, I owned a welding company at the time. We made these caps up and we sent them away to a polyurethane factory and we tested 5 different types of strength. So we had a black one, which is really hard. We had red, yellow, brown and green, and we tested all of those, and each one was had a different impact pressure zone on it. So we tested all of them because we were breaking caps all the time. We put rubber in them and everything else, and we just kept breaking caps all the time. So we had to work out a way how it was going to be safe for us and also safe on the gear, like not so hard on the gear because we were just breaking them all the time. The concrete posts are very forgiving. So we decided to come up with this, and we documented everything for probably 6 months. And when we submitted the paperwork to my accountant, he submitted it all for me. I come back with, and this absolutely blew me away. I think I had a tax bill that year that I wasn't prepared for. We were doing pretty well, and I wasn't prepared for it. As I said earlier pieces, I didn't have a financial management system. I do now. But the R&D research grant come back at I ended up paying like $1,000 tax for the year. So these things of just being able to think outside the box, outside your little zone, can save you or can make you big moves in your fencing business. Now, you'll see a lot of people are doing innovation around tools and equipment and things like that. And for the best part, I would like to think that it is for a better industry and for a better solution for us blokes who are on the ground to work and do that. But also that if they're smart about it, they're getting a very good tax kickback out of it. So just thinking outside that box is something that you've got to be trying to outpace your competitors all the time. And not outpace, that's probably the wrong word, but be different from your competitors all the time. If you're the same as everybody else and you're not differentiating, then you're really not going to be able to put your best foot forward to grow profitably in that sense. You can be the best fencer around, but if you don't have the systems in place and the tools in place to find that continuous improvement, and I think the Japanese call that Kaizen, that means continuous improvement, you've got to be moving forward. And a mentor of mine said to me once, or 2 mentors of mine actually, one said to me, never let perfect get in the way of good. And they backed off a little bit because what I could see in a job that wasn't exactly spot on, the client would think it would be spot on. I always strive for the best, but I wouldn't now I don't let the little things that used to tick me off sort of get in the way of that. So that was one thing that a mentor said to me. Then the second thing a mentor said to me was, I've lost a train of thought, I've lost it completely. Well, yeah, another mentor said to me, never let perfect get in the way of good. And another one said to me, jump off the cliff and build a plane on the way down. And I didn't really understand that meaning of things. I do now, especially now in our fast-paced industry. If you're launching your business or your fencing business and you're not hustling and you're not grinding and you're sitting around again and you're not different from everybody else, you're not going to get there. You just can't. So hard work pays off. Hard work in the right areas, I would say, pays off even better. Anybody can work hard and wear that badge that they're going to work really hard, but when push comes to shove, if you're not prepared to make some sacrifices and do that, you will struggle to get that foothold into that next step in your business. I had a coach who used to say to me that if you're not growing your business, you're going backwards. And again, same thing. I'm happy to sit where I am at the moment with myself and one fella, and then I sort of sat back and looked at the figures and realized that the amount of work that's coming in, I've got an influx of work and I can't handle it, and I'm flogging myself again to try and do everything, do my podcasting, do my coaching, do my actual run the fencing business, do the installs, do the quotes, do the invoicing, and something had to give. So I put another 2 blokes on, so I actually doubled the business within a couple of weeks, and we've gone from there. So it's frees me up a little bit because of the influx of work that I have got going. I've split the team into two, so I'm still running around outside doing a lot of manual labour at the moment, but that will change as we move into some bigger jobs that I've just won. And if you notice, I think in the last episode I told you about how the chat GPT AI helped me win a big job by helping me finalise a program that I was struggling with. So just to wrap up, I know this is a quick one, but I really encourage you guys to think outside the box. Otherwise, you'll get stuck. You know, a lot of my blokes will go to work each day, especially my employees and my subbies and that, and they're happy to, once 3 comes, they knock off and they don't think another thing about fencing until the next day. As a business operator, as a business owner, even as a subcontractor, you should be thinking 6 or 7 steps ahead of what's happening in the next day, where your next jobs are coming from, how you're going to approach those customers and talk to those people. So there's a lot of things about that. I was talking to my labourer yesterday about the whole R&D, the research and development experience, and he had never even heard the term research and development in Australia. He's a Canadian fella, but he had never heard about it and didn't realise that these things were possible if you're looking in the right direction and you're thinking outside the box of how to create and dominate your industry. And I've seen it before. I've seen blokes come, I've seen blokes go. They last for a little bit and then they just can't handle the next step. They can't handle the heat. They can't handle the roller coaster ride of cash flow. They don't have systems in place. And yeah, I really want to encourage you guys to think outside the box. As I said, I believe 100% in coaching. I coach myself and I get coached myself. So it's all for the better, to make me a better person, to make me a better leader, to make me a better business operator. So I can then hopefully pass some of the knowledge that I've found over the years onto new fencers and more experienced fencers as well, that you're never too old to learn. So just wanted to leave that there. There are things that you do have to do in your business. You do have to turn up. You do have to show up. You have to show up mentally. If you're not prepared to hit the grind, there's days like yesterday, for example, it was a 5 o'clock start and I was still got home from the physical day, and then I was still doing interviews and phone calls and mentoring last night at 8 o'clock. You know, they're long days and you've got to be in for the grind. I'm in it because I'm building something. I love what I do. I love the industry. There's such a big thing shaking in the industry at the moment that I will get to in the next few weeks. It's the craze in America is going off, and I think Sean King, Mr. Fence, is leading it. He mentioned it in one of our episodes previously about the no dig fence and how it's going. I'm still a little bit reserved about where it is. I haven't actually done one myself here in Australia. I'm keen to do one because I can see the merit of it. I've heard a lot of people say that they would rather still wet set concrete, and hey, that's fine. I've just come off a big job where I was doing timber posts and I was dry setting and tampering and ramming posts, and I can tell you the big timber posts, it took a lot of work, a lot of manual labour in that side of things, and I haven't perfected the speed of that. I haven't got vibrators or things like that, so we'd still do it manually with a couple of crowbars and tamper it up, and that's slow and laborious, but builds your pecs up a bit and gives you a good workout. But the no dig fencing is something that I'm keen to explore. I'd love to hear your thoughts on it with what's going on, because for the best part of, or nearly all our types of fencing that we do, other than residential and security fencing or residential and industrial, everything else is driven. So you think of the rural side with timber posts, split posts, board and C posts, star pickets, concrete posts, railway line, you know, that they're predominantly all driven, and they seem to stand the test of time. So I don't see the big issue of trying to bring that scenario into the residential industry and try it there, where potentially speed your business up a little bit. So if you don't have to carry all the gear to concrete and mixers and trailers and things like that, and all of a sudden you're carrying a trailer with posts that you can drive, and then you can fit out over the top and around, something that might be very interesting. I don't know how our landscape will go. A bit concerned about even the area that I'm in. We have a lot of volcanic rock, so I don't know how, you know, for us, if we're even doing a colorbond fence and we hit these big rocks, that, you know, the jackhammers come out and we have to bust rock up, and some of that black rock and blue rock that's really hard can split, and you can get a fissure ladder down there and get something in. But a lot of the times you've just got to dig them out and try and position your posts or jump them or move them around to overcome the problem. And that will be a big issue with driving in Australia, but there's a lot of other areas as well that should be easily driven. I know around Lismore down the basin we have a lot of flood mud and black pug, and even if you put a colour-bond fence in or a timber paling fence, it's in 2-3 feet in the ground, concreted in 6 months, the whole fence is moved anyway. So there's a merit for the thought process. There's merit, as I said, Sean King is leading the way in the innovation in America with the way he's thinking, trying to speed the bloke on the ground up, and that's what it's all about. It's not about outdoing anybody, and the same with here in Australia. I think we're a little bit behind in the times of how we operate, and I think a lot of us still do things old school, which is okay, but times are changing, and I think we need to change with it as well. So hopefully for the better, and as I said, we're all in the industry together. We're trying to make it better for everyone, for the early starters, for the more seasoned fellas. So that's all I got today. As I said, you've got to turn up, you've got to work hard. Most importantly, you've got to work smart. So if you can think outside the box and bring a few extra dollars in. And another good example of that for me personally is I've never stained a fence in my life until probably the last 2 months, and now I've done 2 in nearly 25 years. It's something I detest, but whether I detest it or not, it put an extra couple of grand in my pocket to get the job done. So it was basically an upsell, and then I upsold them again for caps, and then I upsold them again for a maintenance program in 12 months. So all of a sudden, the one job, and I will pump myself up a bit here, I have the ability to turn a smaller job into a larger job and make more money out of it. I seem to have that knack where I can turn a 15th job into a 20th job by upselling and giving the client little bits and pieces that they need and that they require that they may not have thought about, but I can also save them a lot of money potentially in the long run. And that's something that I've never tried to do before. It's only been since the demise of the company that I'm really sort of conscious of what I'm giving to people, what peace of mind I'm trying to give to people, what security I'm giving people, and what in return I get back for the value that I'm adding. So that's something that I've really worked with. I have had issues in the past asking for money. I've had blocks, mental blocks. I've had fear about things like that. Oh, what if they say this or what if they say that? Now I've sort of been really cut and dry. I've got very comfortable being uncomfortable in certain times, and I am pretty, my wife would say I'm not very diplomatic at times. I just say it, and I'm pretty dry and cut, but that's what happens when you've been around the mill a few times and you get shoved around a little bit by certain issues in your life. So yeah, there is a massive field out there for fencing. There is a massive playing field. There's, in my opinion, the more the merrier. I like to see a lot of blokes coming in and starting up, going out on their own, having a crack. And if I can help in any way, please feel free to reach out to me via Messenger. As said, I'm the Profitable Fencer. If you want to check out my fencing page itself, North Coast Fencing, it sponsors the Profitable Fencer here. So that's our first sponsor, I could say, for the Profitable Fencer. And the podcast, The Fencer's Life, Lessons from the Trenches, that's one thinking outside the box that I learnt, and I was very grateful. So that research and development, just quickly, again, for a recap, brought in a 1 year, wiped out a massive tax bill, saved my bacon, and that was all because we thought about a safety process that was probably already out there, but we just tried to push the envelope and work something that suited us directly in our business. So innovation is something that is key in your business. If you can make it better, make things easier, make things safer, make things quicker, if you can do all of those and tick those 3 boxes, and you'll knock in fences a lot quicker, well, it's more money in your pocket. Okay, adios. Thanks for listening.